Spiritually, for me, I think that I am one of those people who has been on the other side of the spectrum. A lot of people, when COVID first happened, immediately went into a fear factor. And I think I just had so much going on around me that I just was at a standstill mode. And so while people were concerned about getting sick and not having the things that they needed, it just wasn't a heavy burden on me like I saw it be for people around me. And a lot of people took that as me having like a level of arrogance of, oh, you think that you're untouchable and you think that your family can't get sick, and it's not that. Working with seniors, I see death every day. And so you appreciate death in a different way because you see longevity in people's life and you see the blessings that they've had and what they've overcome. And so COVID has really just given me an opportunity to just increase my prayer life. I'm grateful for having the flexibility to work from home and be able to pray on the prayer line every day, bringing in my friends and family, inviting them in to strengthen our bond. And so it's an interesting dynamic because the world around you is panicking and you live in the world and you have to pay attention to the world. But I'm not easily riled up. And so I know that at some point we have to come outside and we have to live again, and somebody has to be the one that says, okay, let's go and let's try it, and let's have systems in place that are gonna make us function like we were before. And I just think that this was really a reset. I think that 2020 coronavirus was a reset for this universe, for this world, for people, for all those people who said there isn't a God. And you see all over the world people praying and asking God to heal the land. And so COVID has just really shown me just how awesome God is and how He can get your attention and take away everybody's agenda of what they have going on and bring you back to the basics and strengthen you so that when you come out of it, you're ready for another level. I think that when you get to the place in your spiritual journey that you know that healthy level of arrogance, if that's what we want to call it, or unwavering faith will definitely be present. I remember years ago, I was in church and I think we're in like Bible band on a Tuesday night, and all of these people were talking about them going through, and I'm struggling, and I'm this and I'm that. And I said, my spiritual walk doesn't look like that. It doesn't feel like that. And one of the ladies said, oh, well, don't worry, your time is coming. And I said, no, because I'm not allowing that to even seep into my spirit. If we are truly believing that what God has for us is for us and we stop fighting His will, then you will be grounded in your faith to know that in spite of everything that's happening around me, like you said, we've already seen miracles, signs, wonders, people being healed. I have not lacked during this entire pandemic, and I don't count that as just like, oh, well, lucky me. No, I know that faithfully paying my tithes, consistently paying my tithes, being a willing worker and storing up that favor of God in being obedient, even when you didn't understand why, set me up for this very moment. And so as a believer, when you get to that place in your walk that no matter what comes, we've seen it all at this point, but no matter what comes, I'm still blessed and I'm still able and He's still sustaining me. You have no choice but to just be thankful and be grateful. And so some would say, oh God, you're so arrogant and you just think nothing can ever go wrong. And it's like, no, wrong is happening all around me, but my house is covered because I asked Him first to cover me before I did anything. So yeah, I think, we got a on our shoulder these days. People say it's cliche when you talk about being born and raised in the church, but I am a firm believer that the best present that your parent can give you is showing you how to have a relationship with Christ. And I have been born and raised Church of God in Christ since I was in my mother's belly. And she showed me with her actions how you have faith, how you believe, how you serve, how you care for people. And so you get to the place where you take those best of, and you hear the horror stories of people that experience church hurt. And I'm not a fan of that word, because I feel like I've been hurt and triggered more on the job than I ever was at church. And I never stopped going to work. But people are so emotional when it comes to God that the littlest thing will make them leave. And so it really is about saying, you know what? I've been on the other side. This has never failed me, and I'm going to stay, and I'm going to stick it out, and I'm going to have a made-up mind that no matter what comes, because conflict is going to come. Conflict is in every entity that we're involved in. Girl Scouts, Cub Scouts, basketball moms, cheer moms. Conflict is everywhere. But how you choose to handle it is what gives you that staying power. And when you know that you are covered and you're a king's kid, you just have that confidence that, all right, Lord, I need you to grow me up. And it's an ever growing process. The person that I am now versus 10 years ago, lots of maturity came from just watching people around me, being willing to serve, having a humbleness and saying, if I see an older saint that is asking me to do something, that I'm doing it, I'm learning the skill, I'm learning how to serve better. A lot of people don't want to serve. They want to be in charge. I want to be the boss. I have the best ideas and I know how to make this great. But the best way to learn is to follow the instructions. And the instructions are set before you by the mentors. And so for me, it was having great mentors in place of, this is how you live a life in holiness. And these are some trials that I've overcome. These are some tribulations that I've faced. But through it all, God was faithful. And that's the constant. And so it's easy to stick and stay when you know at the end of the day, I'm going to win. I've had this conversation with people before. Like I said, with the whole church hurt piece, people say, I'm spiritual and I don't need to go to church, and I can read my Bible at home and I can watch TV online. I always tell people, we need to still assemble together. We still need to be helpers one to another. And there's two sides of church, right? There's the business side of church. This is a building. It has bills, light bill, gas bill, mortgage. And then there's the spiritual side. We're encouraging people to live right so that they can live again. And so if you never have an opportunity to share in upbuilding the kingdom from a business side and a spiritual side, how can you truly say I'm part of the body? If we are one body and we are living to live again, you have to assemble with church. So if you had an issue over at one church where you say, I don't need to go to church anymore and I don't want to be around church people, that's not the solution. I always encourage people, find the church that fits you. There is one. And when you get there, if you see a need, then do the work, because you have to be willing to do the work. You have to be willing to say, you know what, whatever is lacking that I need, I'm going to work so that I have it. I can have it. Nobody goes anywhere and says, okay, I'm here. Bless me, fix me, heal me. It doesn't work like that. When you go to the gym, you don't just sit on the machine and go, okay, make me skinny. You have to do the work. And it's the same thing when it comes to church, your church home, your affiliation. And people expect so much out of the church. Why isn't the church helping the community? Why isn't the church opening up daycares? Why isn't the church having senior homes? Well, if everybody's at home being spiritual, who's coming to the building to build the business of saving souls. And so I always encourage people that there is a million churches in this world. And if you can't find not one church that is going to help you grow, you're clearly the problem. The people of United, I love the people of United. This church cracks me up. You will not find a more genuine group of people. Pastor is so unfiltered, so like, this is me, this is who I am. But more than that, I love his work ethic. I love the fact that, like he always says, I'm not going to ask you to do anything that I'm not going to do. To the point where sometimes he does too much and won't even accept the help. And that's how my personality is. Like, I'll just do the work. I won't ask people, I'll just get it done. And so I just appreciate United. I appreciate people being authentically themselves. I have enjoyed working with the young people and seeing them grow. And I feel like when you're a parent and you have a child, you're always like, well, I won't say that. I'll speak for myself. As a mom, one of my life's joys is seeing them accomplish things and being part of their journey. I've already been there, done that. I've already experienced that. But to see it at a different level through their eyes, it's a different thing. So it's the same thing when you're working with young people at the church. And you think about your experience and you think about when you were young and that someone took the time to cultivate and love on you and encourage you. That's why I'm always encouraging young people to get up and say a scripture, say a poem. Church is the first place that you learn how to speak in front of people because everybody loves you and welcomes you. And me and Ezekiel were having a conversation the other day, and he said, we were talking about church, and he said he misses Mama Gail. Because when he walks in the door, the first thing he does is give her a hug every Sunday. And that's part of his routine, and that's part of his connection, and that's what he knows about church. And so when you think about having a church family, United is just so, we love on each other, and everybody supports each other, and everybody really just wants to see each other win. And that's rare these days, that everybody is like, yeah, how can I support? What can I do? And I can just truly say, whenever we are trying to accomplish something for the young people, the church always shows up and shows out and supports them. And Pastor gives us a platform to make sure that the young people know that they have a voice and that they matter. And you don't see that a lot in churches. And you don't see leadership willing to yield the floor to allow for that. But I really think that Pastor Webb understands you can't have growth if you don't have young people. And so you have to give them an opportunity to see what skills and talents they have and then help to cultivate them. So I really appreciate United for just being united and being welcoming and open and non-judgmental and supportive and funny. We just crack up and laugh and have fun. And that's what you're supposed to do. Being saved is not boring. Being saved is not, oh my God, this is what old people do. When you give your life to Christ and you have a great support system and a great atmosphere, you want to go there. You want to dwell. You want to be with your church family because you guys feed off of each other. You thrive together. So I appreciate United for that. I think about how I'll address that in every aspect because I work with kids and Cub Scouts and Girl Scouts in church. I think it's important to have that conversation. I participated in the youth walk with the jurisdictional youth department, and it was very powerful to see those young people, boys and girls, walk out there and go to what is now deemed the sacred ground, where George Floyd passed away, and let young people understand. And it was emotionally overwhelming, but it had to happen. They needed to understand that this is what's happening in the world around you, but through God, we can overcome anything. So those conversations are very important. Unfortunately, we still have to have those conversations about what we do when we get stopped by police and how we try to live. And that is always a disheartening conversation to have. And it seems like we're getting younger and younger at the age that we have to have that with our young people. And as a mom of a Black son, it's something that we talk about often, because I have to make sure that he understands that when mom says no, and she says it 5 times, mom is extending grace because mom loves you. But someone outside of the house maybe will give you 1 chance. And so we have that conversation. Any young person that I come across, I have that conversation with them. I have real life conversations with the young men and the young ladies, because I know that regardless of if we're living in a suburban bubble or not, or it's just not happening in our community, they are Black all day, every day. And they need to understand that they may encounter someone. And so, and on the flip side, we talk about how do we allow love to conquer hate, and why the hatred that is present is there. And so I don't see that conversation going away anytime soon, but I think it's important that the church has a presence, that the church is at the forefront of that conversation and making sure that they support the young people, because I truly believe this generation will continue to, this is the generation that will cause that uprising, that will change and shake this fabric. But they need people supporting them that understand the spiritual side of the wickedness around them, and will help them to verbalize and mobilize the way that they need to. Well, today when I prayed after the prayer line, I prayed for the young people. I have a lot of young people that I'm connected with that have been struggling with depression and anxiety and isolation during this time of coronavirus. And so all this week, I've just been asking the Lord to touch them, to touch their mind, to comfort them, to let them know that they're not alone. And I've been asking God to heal the land and humble your people, so that we can get back to not business as usual, but get back to living and get back to doing the work that needs to be done to continue to change our world.